Okay, got it. You're listening to my mom on your new favorite podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to I Partied With Your Mama.
Hey, oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't slept in years. So, welcome to episode 2. I'm not going to make anyone ugly cry today. The first episode was rough, and I'm not just talking about the sound. Um, if it was bad, I hope it gets better. It's hard to do this, not just to talk about it and be like butt naked vulnerable. Although I don't have any problems with being naked, but you know what I mean? Like, metaphorically speaking, if I had them, last week my balls were hanging out for the world to see, or hear, or whatever. Mostly that makes me really proud of myself because my insides are plastered with things I'm afraid to talk about. So up until now, I only write them down. I think this thing is going to be really good for me, and hopefully it's good for some of you listening. If anyone's listening, I know someone's listening because I did receive some really sweet feedback and I appreciate it. It helps. I've also received a couple of stories from listeners about their own mothers. So before I forget, I want you guys to go check out the website, ipartywithyourmama.com. There's some cool old photos of my mom and little me, and there's a page where you could submit stories of your mom if you want me to share them on the podcast. Or you can just email your story at omg@ipartiedwithyourmama.com. If you leave your phone number when I get a real handle on this show, I might just give you a call because even though this whole thing started with Pammy, I want to hear from you. It makes me feel a little less disconnected and like things might just be okay because we're all going to die. But I would be really pissed if I died before I get to be like happy again. So, for what it's worth, thank you all in advance for sending in stories about your mother, who she is, what she did, why she kicked so much ass, or like maybe she was terrible. I want to hear about that too. It might make you feel better. There's a lesson in everything, right? So, oh yeah, on the episode today, I am talking with Pam Sears. She was a friend of my mom's back in the day, and she was actually there the day that I was born. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am for that. Have you seen the clip? Have you heard the clip? Um, it's like an instant classic. It would be so cool if she went viral for this. It's like a play on baby's first words, but it's daddy's first words. And I love it. I can't imagine never hearing that. And not just for the, comedic gold that it is, but as a little girl, I remember hoping I'd be surprised one day with the news of who my real dad was because I saw my grandpa and my uncle when I was like 9 or 10. He had his kids. So it wasn't like I didn't believe in fathers. I saw it firsthand. My uncle Scott is like the best dad in the world. I just kind of held out hope, maybe for a little too long, but I had hope that I would one day have a great dad like that. But I didn't. Anyway, where was I going with this? I hope some listeners have ADHD and crippling anxiety so you can not only enjoy your new favorite podcast, but so you can follow along with the show. But yeah, so I was talking about the episode. I'm talking to Pam Sears. She's like a TikTok sensation, a psychic medium, and a really, really sweet lady. And most importantly, she was my mom's friend. I hope you enjoy my guest. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast thingy. Send me a story. Um, and keep listening.
Follow me, you're going on an island away from here. Don't matter where, just tell me where, I'll get you there. We could go anytime, it's just around the corner, a million miles away. But I promise you we'll go on this vacation someday.
Age 4 for 7 years. And so I went through that phase of, the last test said, there's no evidence of disease. Because why me when I've lost so many people? And it's like, well, you can't have like survivor's guilt. And I said, well, no, I understand that. It's just, I still wonder why. Maybe I still have things to do. So,
Yep, you must. Definitely. How are you feeling?
since I had those back-to-back viruses, I'm feeling better. I'm coming out of that. And I'm writing my fourth book. So pretty excited about that. And
That's amazing.
I didn't know we were going to have another grandson. And so I wrote the book for Xander and now Leo. And it's like, I can't leave this earth without writing him a book. So I'm working on that. And there's also like this other book that keeps wanting to pop into my awareness. So something along spirituality lines or whatever. I've been a psychic medium for professionally about 35 years. And it's like, yeah,
That's awesome.
even during the medication and, some of my times when I wasn't feeling so good because they gave me new stuff that didn't work well and it made me crazy, I was still able to do my work.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll have to get some TikTok tips from you because I see them, but I've never like had the app on my phone. I've never kind of gone through the rabbit hole or anything. So
Yeah. When it went down, I was perfectly fine with it. I have 250,000 followers now, I think. I'm not real sure. And so, and I do a lot of content with my videos, going out in nature, my photography. I do a lot of that on there. So a lot of people love seeing that because some of them are disabled to the point they can't go do those things. So they kind of look to me for that. And, I've done a couple controversial ones, They're like,
that's
dang,
good.
you're spicy today. I said, don't mistake my kindness for weakness because, I've been around the block. Your mom and I, man, we've been through some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's get to the shit.
Let's get to the shit.
So I've been writing a book for like 100 years and it just about my life and marriage and kids and all that stuff.
Right.
And there's always been a lot of holes in my like childhood because we did so much in such a little time and I was young. So there was just a bunch of missing pieces. I just had all these holes in like my childhood part of the book. So the book just kept stalling out and I would get, more into like my adulthood, but always want to go back to little pieces of my childhood, but they're just not solid enough to write about. So my sister and I talk about that a lot. But then when we were cleaning out my mom's house and found letters from this man that we had never heard of, never heard his name, it did not ring a bell in any way for her or me. And she kind of knows everything. Like Dawn can always sort of like fill in the blanks, but she was like, what? Like, who is this? Like, where were we? And that kind of spiraled into writing more of my mom's story. But again, like all these little missing pieces. And I'm like, what the hell? And then one night I was laying in bed and I woke up at like 3 a.m, which is totally normal for me, and started writing about a podcast. I'm like, I could talk to people that know her and can help me fill in these blanks. And then I can, get more momentum for writing
Yeah.
this book. And moms in general, we're these people and we have these lives and dreams and all this stuff for ourselves. And then when we have kids, more often than not, we pack that away. Whatever we built up until that day, it sort of gets packed away because then you're living a totally different life. And, a better one in a lot of ways, but still there is this woman that you had to put pieces of her away. And so that's when I started talking to my friends and stuff. And they are like telling me crazy stories about their mom and stuff they just heard about. And, I'm like, it's a huge onion that you could peel forever.
Correct.
Because, women are amazing. And if we didn't have mothers, none of us would be here. And they were all somebody before they were mothers. And I don't know if it's shame or like in my own personal life, like my kids know a lot about me, but there's a lot they don't know about me. And, maybe because it's not age appropriate or whatever, because they're still young, but I'm like, I want them to know like the whole me.
Yes.
Like that's super important.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can't know the whole story unless you know the good, the bad, and the ugly, the fun and the crazy, and regrets or not. Like we all have a history, and I think that with women, we have to like that wasn't me. That didn't happen. Like we just shun it as a society because it's not acceptable. It doesn't align with motherhood.
And you got me thinking because my mom's been gone for a while, and it took me back to some of those times where I don't think that I fully understood her until her passing. I mean, it's like so much of the pieces of the puzzle are missing. And then after she passed, I start to put some of those together. I said, but why wasn't I able to do that when she was alive?
Yeah, like you can't really appreciate them for who they truly are. And I'm still curious. I mean, hopefully when this podcast ends, whenever that is, maybe we can shed a little light on it. But like, is it shame? Is it embarrassment? Is there no time for it? Like,
I think
it's kind of a mystery.
We're busy raising a family, whether we be with a partner or single parents. It's tougher. I mean, I was a single mom. I mean, the kids had their dad, but I was still a single mom, technically. And it's like you put things away and you just, like somebody said, did you, for example, somebody said, what do you mean you didn't buy underwear for a year? I said, well, I was on a budget. The kids needed this and this and this and this. I was the last to get anything. Surely I could have gone and gotten myself some, but it was like we put us on hold so that we can raise our kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And up until the moment of having a child, you're first. And then in an instant, you're last.
You understand more when when you have your own kids.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to start. I mean, we're probably going to have like 100 episodes just between you and I, because there's so much history that and you were such a huge part of her life. And
Yes.
and that whole time is that's such a mystery to me. But I kind of want to start from my beginning. I know one of the photos that I just found, I've been going through a lot of pictures, was of Halloween. And so I would have been months old. And you guys were living in a house. So I think my dad had left my mom, and you and Pam had all moved in together with myself and my sister.
Correct.
So what the hell happened?
It's really interesting because your mom and I were neighbors. I had a house catty corner to your mom's house. So what was interesting is when I split up with my ex, your mom has split up with your dad. And it just, I left that house because we were going to sell it and I moved in with your mom. And it was just the whole synchronicity of everything was just crazy. And I do remember I moved in like right away after you were born. So it was a weird time because all three of us then became single and we didn't have cell phones back then. And when the phone would ring, somebody would say, "Is Pam there?" We would say, "Which one do you want? A, B, or C?" Because that was our names. And so we were there to support each other. I mean, your mom had, you were pretty tiny. Dawn wasn't that old either. And so I think that it was not only a financial help, but emotional help.
For sure.
And it's like, I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail about your dad and things like that because, we all have memories. And I just felt that the lack of support from your dad was evident, very evident.
Yeah. I didn't ever really discuss his relationship with my mom. Like, she was really good. I mean, if it were me, I would be like, "Kids, sit down. I'm going to tell you about this asshole." Like, that's just how I am. But she was very PC about the whole thing, which to a fault, probably. But she never like badmouthed him. She never gave us any she didn't give us a bad taste in our mouth. She let us taste it ourselves. And we did.
Yes. And you did.
So I do think that he was having an affair. It was somebody he worked with. And do you remember that as being like a big drama? Like,
Do you want me to be like blunt?
yeah,
Okay. So
lay it out there.
there was this lady, I don't know. Actually, if I'm going to be very blunt, my ex also boinked her. So, hey,
Oh,
yeah. So family affair, I guess. And I do remember the catalyst of some things. And it's like when you were born, okay, you came out, you had the jet black hair. And the first thing your dad said was, "Whose kid is that?"
oh, nice.
Yeah. Your mom just had a baby and he's like, "Whose kid is that?" And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke at all. And I was just like, I remembered shortly thereafter, and I'm just like, "You're such a dick." You're such a,
Say that to somebody who's just given birth.
and it's like you ended up with all those features that were like undeniable, but it was like, he wasn't an easy person to get along with anyway, but that was so rotten of him to do that. And it's interesting.
I think it was guilt, probably if he was having an affair at that time.
Right. Yeah. And then here this
Yeah.
baby comes out and he goes, "Oh, I got a good excuse to."
I wish. I mean, that was sort of my childhood dream.
I mean, I don't know how long it had been going on or whatever it was. I'm sure your mom probably shared that little tidbit with you about the affair. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't know about it, right?
Well, I found letters. I went through every piece of paper in her house, and her, she kept everything. She kept every note we ever wrote to each other, like her and I, like on scratch paper. It's incredible. It's insane and also incredible.
Yes.
So I found letters. Basically, we never sat down and had a conversation. She said that he decided to leave because he wasn't happy. So that was kind of it. And I'm like, oh, well, it didn't really matter to me at the time when I didn't care. I was
Right.
like, if a guy doesn't want to be somewhere, who cares? I feel the same way now. It's like, bye.
And I felt that Dawn really struggled. She was older, she didn't understand, and as a little girl, I just saw her really struggling with that.
Yeah, she was the last holdout for him for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so but it was like the emotional support that the women and, the other Pam, she had also been divorced. She was divorced. So I know that she eventually remarried and I met the guy and everything was cool. But we were all just like single ladies helping each other. And whenever, your mom needed help with you guys, I was there, so it's like weird that we were all going through it at the same time.
I know. It's a kismet, because you guys needed each other.
I would look across because my ex was still living in that house. And it was just, I don't know, it was just like, I don't know. I said to Pam, this is just bizarre. It's just bizarre. And we had split up for, amicable reasons. There wasn't, whatever. And that when we decided to split up, he decided to go find this other person uh, that your dad had been with and whatever. So I'm like, congratulations, dude. What can I tell you? But I don't remember how long we all lived together in that house, but it was for a while.
So was it fun?
Yeah,
3 young women and 2
yeah,
babies?
it was fun. And of course, during those times, I had stopped drinking in 1999, but we were drinkers, and we had a lot of fun. We went out. Uh, do you want to hear a story about your mom and I and pot? Because that,
Yes.
from that house, it is the funniest thing. Somebody told us, here's a lid of weed. You put it in your brownies and then you eat a brownie. Now, first of all, we didn't know to clean up all the stems and all that stuff. And we ate a brownie and it was like, oh, this isn't doing anything. So we ate another one. Then we got into my car and we went to Bojangles, which was the night spot to go. And it's like, as soon as we pulled out the chairs to sit down, we realized something was terribly wrong. And that we both looked at each other and she goes, "What's happening?" And I go, "I don't know. What happened?" I said, "Maybe the pot did something." And so we immediately left. Now we're out Avenue C, wherever, way out. There wasn't a lot of houses back then. And I remember I was driving and your mom was saying, "Okay, there's a light. Now you're going to put your foot on the brake and blah, blah, blah." So we had to help each other try to get home. And then the next thing I heard was out in the middle of nowhere. It was a bullhorn and it said, "We repeat, this is an emergency vehicle. Pull over." And we both looked at each other like, where did that come from? And we're like, oh my God. So we pulled over, and of course, they're like, "Stupid bitch, you should have pulled over." And then it's out in the country, so, and I just remember praying to God at that point, "If you'll just get me home, I will never do that again," because it's just
Right.
it
I'll
and it
never
wasn't
eat
my thing.
another brownie.
And her and I we walked in the door like and we were so stoned, we couldn't even go to sleep. I mean, that's how bad it was. And we laughed and laughed about that because it was like, "Man, we coulda killed each other for God's sake." She goes, "No, you had the steering wheel. I'm there telling you, put your foot on the brake, blah, blah, blah." So that's
She's like,
one
we did it together.
we did it together. And so it was just, we've had some fun stories. And yeah. And during that time, it's like I can't remember when she started dating Russell. Remember Russell?
Yeah, he's one of my mysteries. I hope to actually talk to him because
That would be cool.
I don't know how long they were married, but it was a chunk of my childhood.
I mean, when was I already moved up here? I think I was already moved up here. And I went down and we were, I don't know if it's Scotty's house or somebody's mobile down there. And her and I were drunk and we decided to go off on the ATV and it
Mm-hmm.
stalled and we couldn't get it back to being started and all that stuff. And so we waited and waited and finally Russell showed up and he was like beyond pissed. Beyond pissed that these two drunk women would be out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, he got it started and we had to walk back or whatever. I was like, dude, chill out a little bit. So I know that it was a rocky relationship.
Oh, for sure. I think all of her relationships were. I don't know any, I don't have any recollection of any of them being smooth.
Right. And she came up to visit me in Phoenix and there were each of the time she would be dating someone and bring them up, but I didn't really know who they were or how long they had been together. But she had some relationships.
Yeah. Were you guys close during her marriage to Russell? Because I know that's when we moved around a lot because he worked for the railroad and we
You
were
know,
all
that's
over.
kind of when I came up to Phoenix, we kind of like didn't stay as close because I didn't go down there that much. And she couldn't come up to Phoenix. Her car wasn't really, running all that well. And so when I would go down there, I would see her. But we didn't really get a lot of opportunities to spend time during that time with Russell. I just thought to myself, in my opinion, you deserve better because it was, yeah. And she would say, I'm not an easy person to get along with either.
It's the truth.
I think she would be kind of like, well, don't be blaming all of them. I had my own stuff to go through.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's some truth to that, but she did not have a great picker with men. That's for sure.
No. And I first actually met your mom when I think she got to stay behind and graduate. And then she flew into Phoenix, and I was staying in Phoenix at that point with family. And then Dawn and my ex came up with Volkswagen or VW or whatever and picked her up at the airport. And that was my first time meeting her. She had just graduated high school.
Do you know how they met? My
I
mom and my
do
dad?
I do not know other than both your dad and my ex were working at it would be the equivalent of a Walmart now. And that's how those two met. Yeah. And so they worked night shift, stocking or whatever. And
Hmm.
I don't remember how they actually met. It must have been when she was down here for like the summer before going back to
Right.
graduate there. Not something that really if it was discussed, I don't remember. I mean, we've had umpteen trips together, all four of us, always going to California, and you don't want to know some of those stories. But anyway, we
Don't be so sure. I kind of
uh,
like to know it all.
but I thought for sure that your mom would have said something about how she met your dad.
No, she never really talked about him.
And there were quite a few times when I would say, "Well, why do you always have to be such an asshole? Why do you have to act like such an asshole to people, to whatever?" And he goes, "Well, because they deserve it." And I'm like, "Dude, not cool, not cool." Because he was cocky. He was cocky.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get from his personality. He just was a little full of himself.
And there was no need to be. That's just it. There was really no need to be. I mean, always forget the guy's name that was dating her when you were born. She helped take care of him and he passed for alcohol.
Oh,
alcohol.
Mike King.
Yeah, Mike King.
That
So
was, I don't ever remember him, but all of my baby pictures are with him. He is just like the most handsome, cool
he
looking
he
dude.
just jumped right in, and I started dating his friend. So that was short-lived also, but he was just right there, and he took care of you guys, and he was a good guy. I don't know why they never really stayed together. I don't know what broke them up.
I remember his mother had an interesting, Mama Lou was his mother's name. I don't know why I remember that.
But I mean, if I were to say who would have been the love of your mom's life, I swear it was him.
Yeah, I think so too. And I knew nothing about the man personally, but I mean, I looked like I liked him in the photos.
Yes.
Like he was
Yeah.
always with me in the pool, and he seemed like a dad figure
Yes.
if photos could talk.
The gentleman that she brought up for the weekend, he was a nice guy. That didn't last long. But other than those two, I don't know of anyone else that she would have been in a relationship with. Because your mom wasn't the type to just date. She was more the type to be in a relationship. I think.
Right, always looking for love
Al-
in the wrong
Always
places.
looking for
I
love.
think there's a country song like that.